down for formula units. Atoms are molecules, and we had grams and liters. Okay? And so what we're going to do today is this is now moles of what's known. So you know how we have what we're given and we put it over 1? That's going to be your left hand for most of you if you're right hand. And then what we're going to add in today is the fact that now we're going to have moles of unknown. So when you're reading the problems and they're saying, how many moles of this? How many grams of this? That's the other hand. So today we're going to have to go, like I said, and make that transition. So now we're not using the fan anymore, right? We're done with that because now we're doing stuff that involves labs. And we're going to be measuring most of the time in grams. So grams and liters. So if you'll just kind of follow me, if you have it written on your hands, that's great. What's about to happen today, our goal is to go from grams of one substance to grams of another substance. So look up here. You don't have to write anything down. So if I was given grams of carbon dioxide, for example, Trent, take your headphones out, please. So if I was given if I was given grams of carbon dioxide and I was asked about oxygen, okay, I would go from grams of carbon dioxide to moles. Do you know how to go from grams to moles? And see how I'm on one hand? How many, when we did the one-handed conversions that you all just killed the quiz on, what was moles always equal to? 1. But then, when we go from one substance to the other, that's where we're going to have to put our hands together. And that's when you look at the balance equation and use the mole ratio, the thing we did on the do now. Then I'll go to moles of oxygen, for example, and then to grams. So you already know how to go from here to here. You already know how to go from here to here and here to here. The only thing new that we have to learn is just the... Let me repeat myself when I said this is the hardest thing we do all semester. If you're on your phone playing games or like not looking at me, that's going to make it real hard to understand. So, one more time, we're going from grams of one thing to grams of another. So we're going to have to do a mole conversion to get to moles. Then we'll put our hands together. That's where we use the coefficients and mole ratios. And then we'll go back to grams. So let me give you an example. So what I was just talking about, for example, if we had just a simple, I don't know about that color. So if we had a simple combustion problem, so CH4 combines with oxygen to give you carbon dioxide and water. Let me bounce it real quick. So 2 of these and then 2 of those. All right, so again, if I was given, you know, if you have, you guys okay? If you have, I don't know, 3 moles of oxygen, how many grams, my pen's right kind of messy, of CO2 can be produced? You should be writing this down. That's right, so we're taking notes. So if you have 3 moles of oxygen, I can make it a little bit neater. Oops. Of oxygen, how many moles? How many grams of carbon dioxide can be produced? So, we're going to go from moles of one thing to grams of another. So this is kind of a little baby step in the middle. Lindsay, this would be where you write it down. I wrote it. Awesome. Just want to make sure you didn't have to listen while you were writing. I'm paying attention. I'm trying to do my best.
Okay.
All right, y'all got it? So if you have this here, you're given the 3 moles, right? Even if you don't know what to do, we have 3 moles of oxygen. And it asks us about grams of carbon dioxide. So, what is going to go on the bottom of the next fraction regardless? What unit and what element? Moles of oxygen. Now let's think about where we are. We're at moles of oxygen, and we're trying to get to grams of carbon dioxide. So it's going back, okay, for example, it's going to liters of oxygen or going to grams of oxygen. Is that going to do anything? That's going backwards. So I'm trying to get over here, I got to get to this other thing. So this is where I'm going to put my hands together, right? I got to go from moles to moles. You can put your palms together. So this is where I clap for coefficients. And the coefficient for oxygen, there you go. You clapped, that was beautiful. So if you look at the balanced equation, the coefficient for oxygen is 2 and the coefficient for carbon dioxide is just 1. So what number I'm going to put here for oxygen, y'all? 2, and then on the top for carbon dioxide, I'll put 1. 1 mole of CO2. Now, if this was yesterday or 5 minutes ago when you were doing the mole-to-mole questions, you would be done. But we're not done. So what's grams? Can I go from moles to grams?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that a million times. Yeah. So this is where it's always 1 mole. Once I'm on one hand, it's 1 mole. Unless I'm clapping my hands together, it's 1 mole. So 1 mole of carbon dioxide, y'all, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that a mole of carbon dioxide weighs 44.01. I'm sure if you added up 1 carbon and 2 oxygens. So this is what we just did. We went from moles of oxygen to moles of carbon dioxide to grams of carbon dioxide.
So how do you know when to switch?
How do you know? Okay, so if I'm given, you basically got to figure out where you start. You start with moles of oxygen because they told you that. And you know you're trying to get to grams of the other thing. So the only way to get there is put your hands together and go. Yes?
How do you know you're trying to get to grams of the other thing? On the same.
You got to read the question.
Yeah, how do you know it's on the other hand?
Because it's a different substance. Remember how I told you at the beginning, this is known and this is unknown. So you can tell what you know because they tell you how many you have. And then what they want is what you don't know.
Wait, so is one hand supposed to be reactants and one hand supposed to be...
Not necessarily. One hand is the one thing that you already know, which you will be the thing that you've taken right over 1. The other hand will be the thing they're asking you about. Okay? This is different than what we did last week because last week we just had 1 substance and we didn't have to go from the balanced equation.
Are we going to go backwards sometimes?
It's not necessarily backwards. You'll have something you know and something that you won't know. Yes. Any questions? No, you just need to see it one more time.
Where did 2 come from? Yes.
Where did the 2 come from? This?
The O.
This is where I put my hands together, clap the coefficients. There's 2 oxygens and 1 carbon dioxide. So that's why I put a 2 and a 1. That's the mole ratio, the thing we're going to do now, the thing that you just did over and over again while I was going over the quiz. Okay? All right, let me give you another one. We'll use the same balanced equation so I don't have to make up another example and you don't have to do nothing else. So, alright, so what if I had 33.2 grams of water is produced? How many moles of oxygen were used? Okay, so think about where we're at. We know water, right? And we're going to moles of oxygen. Okay, so let me let you write this down and I'll go through the hands with you. You gotta switch the hands because there's 2 different substances. So like in a week when you're taking your test, you'll know to do both hands when it's giving you 2 different substances. And you won't have to when it's just talking about carbon or something. You don't have to convert. Okay, so just so we're all on the same page, what this problem is doing is it's giving me 33 grams of water. So I'm right here. I'm going to have to go to moles, then put my hands together to get to moles of the other thing. So that's 1, 2 steps. Done. See what I'm doing? Okay. All right, so I have 33.2 grams of water. I got a mess down here. All right, so I'm going to take that and put it over 1. I'm on this middle finger. I'm at grams. Where do you get information for grams, y'all? All right, so this is going to be 18.01 or 02 grams of water. I'm on one hand. What goes in front of moles? 1 mole of water. Now, as you're doing this, check to make sure your units cancel. Grams of water cancel. Grams of water cancel. The only way you can mess this up is if you don't show all your work in your units. If you'll keep doing that, which y'all did on the quiz for the most part, you can't mess it up.
So
Now, am I done, though?
You said they just cancel because they're water, though?
Grams of water and grams of water.
Because you're not looking for that.
Right, I'm not looking for that, so I need it to go away. That's right. So it wants moles of oxygen. So I need moles of oxygen, right? Am I done? No, the unit is shown as water. So, okay, I got to go from water, 5 grams per coefficients, to oxygen. What am I going to put in front of, okay, y'all know that this is moles of water down here.
2.
Right, because there's a 2 in front of it.
And then multiple 2.
And then 2 moles of oxygen is on top. The answer to this is about 1.8, 1.9. What is it?
1.8, 1.9.
That's actually right in the middle, pretty much. Yep. How did it get what?
18.02 again?
18.02 is the fact that 2 hydrogens, 2 plus 16 is 18. Alright, so I forgot what you said the answer was. 2? Wait, 1.84 moles of oxygen. Okay. Do you get the idea?
No, that's a little weird.
Kinda.
Yeah, I see it.
Well, listen, we have to do one more step. We're not quite done. That was baby steps. Now we're going to have to go from grams to moles back to grams. So this is going to have one more fraction. So it's the same thing, just got to do a little bit more. I tell you what, I don't want to be here all day like giving you examples. Why don't y'all, so we can get some of the work done, get your work out, the other side, the right-hand side, and I'll do number 1 as an example, and you'll have to do it, okay? So go ahead and find it. Yep. I know it's work, but I'm doing it, so
Is that worksheet in the makeup order?
you know it. Alright, so go ahead and get this out, and I'm just going to write the balanced equation so we can follow along. Go ahead and figure out what they're asking you and what you know. You can actually go ahead and start, take what you're given and put it over 1. Okay. On number 1 it says, airbags, blah, blah, blah. How many grams of nitrogen gas are produced? I didn't make this worksheet, it's got a typo. It wants this, and it wants grams. So I'm looking at the pinky finger on the unknown. Max, I swear I'm not lying. You don't know how to do this? This is the first time I've ever showed you. So, alright, so anyway. Yes?
Can we have Thomas Kent for dismissal?
Yes. Hi. The video will be on YouTube. You can use your phone. I forgot what I was talking about. How many grams of nitrogen gas are produced? So I'm going to this middle finger on the unknown hand, and I'm given 3.25 grams of sodium nitrite. Shh. So here we go. Y'all going to have to help me through this. So I'm number 1 on this page, on the right-hand side, honey. That's what I said a minute ago. That's the same reaction. You got the sign? Okay, so take and put 3.25 grams of sodium nitride. It's actually sodium azide, but you don't matter. I wrote it a little bit too big. I ain't gonna have room. This has 3 more fractions, so write small. Look, it's not anything different. It's just more. On a piece of paper. Yeah, you're gonna have to write little. Okay. So, look. Middle finger to palm. 5 for coefficients. Go from palm to middle finger. Okay. Y'all are a hot mess. Alright, so refreshing your memory. Middle finger to palm. Can you go from moles? Can you go from grams to moles? Okay, what am I going to put for moles? What number? 1 hand. 1 mole of Na3N. This weighs like 80 something. Anybody want to add it up? You know what? I got it. 82.98. Thanks. Listen, I know it's a lot to write, but if you don't write these, you're gonna fail. Okay? That's when I call people up in like a week to show you these quizzes. It'll be the people that show their work that get 100. So check your units, make sure they cancel. Now see how I'm following the units to write the next thing. What is going to be, okay, alright, So I'm going to moles, right? This is where I'm clapping my hands together because I made it to the palm, clapping my hands. What's the coefficient for sodium nitrite?
2.
2 moles of Na3N. What am I solving for?
Grams.
But of what?
Into
So what are the moles I'm going to use for this?
1.
Do you see why it's 1?
Yes.
There ain't nothing in front of it. It wanted grams of that. Am I done?
No.
Do you know how to go from moles to grams?
Yes.
No, yeah.
You put the moles on the bottom and the grams on the
1 mole on top, 1 mole on the bottom. 14.01 times 2 is 28.02. And that's the hardest thing we're going to do all year. That is as hard as it gets. Alright, now let's go ahead and, I got to tell you something. This is a heaven or hell issue. Are you listening to me?
Yes.
In your calculator, so far this semester, no matter what you're doing, stop what you're doing. In your calculator, so far this semester, we have not had 2 numbers on the bottom. If you take in your calculator, listen to me, and go 3.25 times 28.02 equals, divided by 82.98 times 2, you will get the wrong answer. Because you have 2 numbers on the bottom, your order of operations will be screwed up. You must use parentheses when you divide by the answer on the bottom now, or you will get something completely wrong.
Wait, so
Are we perfectly clear?
we can't just do all the steps.
Okay, so for fun, in your calculator, ready? Let's do it how it's written. 3.25 times 28.02 equals, divided by no parentheses, 82.98 times 2 equals. Cool. Now do what I just told you, which is the right way.
So
3.25 times 28.02 equals, divided by parentheses.
Why are we multiplying by the stuff we already crossed out?
We crossed out the units, we did not cross out the numbers. Like in math class, if you have 14x squared over x, you can cross out an x, but you can't cross out the 14, am I wrong?
Nope.
Okay,
Okay.
right?
No.
So that's what happened. We crossed out the units, not the numbers. Anyway, divided by parentheses, 82.98 times 2. Close it up. The answer, the real answer is 0.55. And it's grams of nitrogen. Are we super clear on the fact that you have to use parentheses on the bottom now?
Hold on.
If you're trying to prove me wrong, I just want you to know.
I'm trying to prove you wrong right now.
But you know,
Oh, but why'd I get it right though?
Did you not use parentheses?
let me hear. I just divided twice.
Yeah,
You divided twice.
I
If
divided
you want to
twice.
do that, you can
Okay.
divide twice. But me as a teacher explaining to the whole class, it's better for me to say parentheses. But yes, you can divide twice.
Let's go.
But you have to, but let's all concede the fact that you have to do something different than we've been doing. You have to do it twice. Before we didn't have to do that. Alright, so go ahead and give number 2 a try. Go as far as you can and I'll work it out. Christian, are you tore up about it? I know it's a lot.
Look at his nose.
I'm trying to break it down for you. Break it up. What is the ST?
There's no way you have
What
seven.
S?
You can't function.
Is ST okay with? Okay, solid. Come on, Chris, let's go. We're doing number 2.
Bro. My stupid
Alright, TJ, what's going to go on the bottom of the next fraction? What unit and compound? Grams of lithium nitride. Did you find the molar mass for this? Did you add it up? Tell me again. Okay.
Yes, good job, bro.
Okay, so look, I'm on one. I don't have enough hands for this. TJ, look, I'm on one hand going to 1 mole. So what do I need to put up here?
1 mole.
1 mole. Woo!
Yes, sir.
Okay, now that I've gotten to my palm, I gotta clap for coefficients, right? So,
Go back.
what am I gonna put down here? What
One
unit
mole.
and everything?
2 mole.
No, 2.
2 mole, that's right, 2 moles.
Oh,
mold. We have to do mold.
No, I know y'all are
How
getting
do
a
we
little time.
Wait, why is it 2 mold?
lithium because I got the answer right.
Excuse me, why is it 2 mold?
I clapped for coefficients, didn't I? Okay.
When you clap, you clap for
Okay. Now let me tell y'all something. The most common thing I had when I was walking around is everybody. I don't know why. If you read the question, it said how many grams of lithium. I had 3 different people solving for nitrogen. Do yourself a favor and circle what they want when you start. So anyway, what do I put on moles of what up here? 6 moles of lithium. And then that takes me, I clapped, that takes me here. So now I gotta go here to grams, right? So what am I gonna put for moles on the bottom? How many moles? I'm on one hand. 1 mole. And that is 6.94 grams of lithium. So when you put all this in your calculator, you have to use parentheses on the bottom or divide twice, your choice.
45
times 6 times 6.94
Wait,
equals.
time out.
Yeah?
Uh-huh.
What's your question, Jack?
So after the equal, what do you
Never mind. I just meant
Divided by parentheses,
divided by parentheses.
34.83 times 2, close parentheses, equal.
because you're not
So it's 26.90 grams of lithium. Okay? Start number 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did it right.
really just
Raise your hand if you got it right. All right. Do number 3.